Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this third hour, part of the Home Talk USA family, made in America, made in the USA. And Greg Owens is our great leader for this hour. And this entire show is dedicated to the American voting process. That is where we go to speak our mind, to pick our leaders. We don't do it with guns. We don't do it with violence. We do it the right way. And we want to thank God for protecting those people that were at the rally and for making sure that our former President Trump is healthy and alive and ready to go to the convention this week. So, Greg, thank you so much for being here with us. Tell us about your show today.
Well, I have a couple of great guests coming up. The topic for this week is how to buy made in America. And it's two individuals who are involved in organizations that take a little bit different approach towards that. So I'm looking forward to having Jim Palmer and Brad Winnings on to talk about their organizations. But, you know, Rita, echoing your words before we begin, I just like to take a moment to reflect on, what happened last Saturday. And first and foremost, special prayers out to Corey Comprenteur and his family and the others who were injured in this attack on American democracy. And of course, what all of us view probably as a true miracle that Donald Trump's life was spared in this brutal assault. And unfortunately, echoing your words and the words of others, hate and fear mongering and this demonizing of individuals have caused violence in our political process. And it's just, as many have said, unacceptable.
Yes.
So, hopefully we can move on from that and get back to discussing topics, discussing policy, not the demonizing politics that we've had to endure for the last, seems like a decade, seems like forever. But hopefully we can move on from that and have a more mature conversation about those topics.
And conversation there is the key word, because you know what? If you're only talking to the people who always agree with you, you're never learning anything new. It's only those people that, have different opinions, different experiences, different perspectives that say, oh, yeah, I never thought about it that way. So yay for the differences and for the ability to discuss them.
Yeah. And, I have good friends that are on the opposite side of the political spectrum. And some of them, you can't have a conversation with. But a lot of them, my favorite friends, you can have a conversation and you can agree to disagree. And
Absolutely.
You might completely disagree with them, but they actually listen. And that's the key here, is to listening to other people's opinions. And I think, all of us would like to believe that we have the answer, but sometimes when we listen, we find out that maybe we don't, and maybe we ought to either soften or modify some of our opinions that are pummeled at us through, media sources and places where we congregate with like-minded people.
I agree. So anyway, this is now your hour for Made in USA, and it is always wonderful to hear about the products and the processes of products that are done right here.
Yes, and we've covered various topics throughout the first episodes of the Made in America Hour, ranging from some of those policies I was just talking about that are so important and have bipartisan support that are needed in order to bring manufacturing back to the United States. We've also talked with several people who are actually doing it and finding out everything from the secret sauce to how they go to market to some of the intricacies of, what does it take to make something? You have a lot of expertise in the area of designing and patenting and coming up with the ideas and getting a product to market. And once you start manufacturing something, maybe you start out pretty small and then you have to scale up or maybe you buy, like in our case, a large manufacturing facility. And in order to make a go of it in our little niche, have to scale back down. And that has its own set of challenges. So
yeah. Well, and the first guest that we had on Michael's Hour, Home Talk USA, the gentleman with Guy Woods, his product is made right here in the U.S. And so it's always fascinating to me that, there are a lot of products that are made here, and people more and more want to be able to say made in the USA.
Right, and there are. And the topic for today's program, our first guest is going to talk a little bit about how their organization is going to help you find those products.
Excellent.
One of the first ads that we did for Liberty Tabletop was just a picture of a Google screen, and it said looking for flatware made in the USA, and it typed it out there, flatware made in the USA, and boom, we appeared. And whatever you're looking for, I always tell people, go online, type in whatever you're looking for, and then put the words made in USA or made in America behind it. And a lot of times you'll be surprised. You'll be able to find those bed sheets or that dinnerware or that bicycle or whatever it is that you're looking for made right here in the United States.
Greg, so tell us how you got into the Made in the USA.
Well, I actually have a degree in international business, which is sort of, in ways, most people would think of it as the opposite direction of Made in USA. But my focus at the beginning of my career was on exporting American-made products. In fact, I went down and lived in Mexico, just outside of Mexico City, for what ended up being 13 years. And the goal of that was to supply Mexican manufacturers with American-made steel, ranging from I-beams to sheets, plates, stainless, exotic alloys, you name it. We were a steel distributor, so we had our own line card. Plus, we had the ability to broker hard-to-find items in Mexico. It's because NAFTA was taking over, and the local Mexican steel vendors really didn't have the certification and the things that ISO manufacturing was going to require. So I went down there and started working in that business, and then eventually ended up working in manufacturing for Oneida Limited, and had the unpleasant experience of seeing that operation shut down because of, you guessed it, competition from China. Mm-hmm. I would characterize it as unfair competition from China. So based on that experience, when the opportunity came up to buy the facility here in the United States, we packed up the family and moved back to New York and began Sherrill Manufacturing. And it's been a wild ride, but one that's been very gratifying as we rehire many of those people that were laid off during the Oneida plant closing.
Well, and it's always interesting. People ask me, how did you get into this? And it's like, you don't say, well, when I was, in the first grade, I think I'll grow up and work in inventing. So, as your path goes, though, it seems like it's a pretty obvious path for how I managed to get into working with inventors and their intellectual property and getting those products out there. But I find people's stories always fascinating. And we are very grateful that you joined the team and that you are, letting everyone know how to find products that are made in the USA. And just as important for the inventors that are out there listening to this part of the show, how they can become part of that Made in the USA family.
Well, looking forward to bringing on Jim Palmer next to talk a little bit about how that's done.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being part of the Home Talk USA family.
Welcome back, everybody, to Home Talk USA. I'm Greg Owens, and this is the Made in America Hour. As announced, we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Jim Palmer from Buy Direct USA. Jim is the Vice President of Marketing for Buy Direct USA. He joined back in 1998, I believe. doing website design. And then he's one of the folks that I've known for quite a while that's really passionate about making things in America. Jim, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Aside from just doing what I do at Buy Direct USA, I love helping animals. Currently have 4 rescue cats. I enjoy gardening and restoring old furniture when I have time. And that allows me to blend a little bit of creativity and craftsmanship. But I also have a large collection of sports cards. If you ask my wife, probably way too many. But and I have a passion for drawing, painting, and writing. So pretty much I like to do just about everything. Now, if you hear some noise in the background, it's probably 1 or 2 of the cats demanding I open my office door for the interview. But they're some good cats and all rescues. So I enjoy doing that.
Sounds like we share some of the same passions, and one of them is American manufacturing. Talk to us a little bit about how that became a passion of yours.
Well, back in 1998, seems like a long lifetime ago, but I was asked to create a website for Buy Direct USA, and I said, okay, let me look into it. And sure enough, I started looking into it, and at the time I was doing retail work as well, so I saw a lot of stuff starting to come in from other countries, but they showed me news stories of people in North Carolina who at the time were waiting in line for free bread. These were former textile workers who were starting to feel the effects of NAFTA. And I saw that, and I said, I gotta help with this project. I didn't get paid a lot, but it was worth the adventure. And here we are 25 years later and still going strong. But my main focus is the people. We've got hardworking men and women across this country who are dedicated to creating quality products, and they strive to do the best they can. Here we are now, where we need manufacturing more than ever. So that's the short of it.
Yeah, well, great. So for the benefit of our listeners out there, talk a little bit about the mechanics of Buy Direct USA. How does it work? Is it an Amazon type thing? Is it linking? And why some of our American manufacturers should contact you and get involved in it as we did at our company?
Well, we kind of have a unique platform. We do have a website that's dedicated to linking to manufacturers across the country, even service providers or farmers even. The goal is to make sure that they reach people like ourselves who are passionate about buying American. There are a lot of people out there. Most Americans agree that we need more made in USA goods. So we aim to connect manufacturers and consumers alike, so these products can be found. Buy Direct is really simple. Manufacturers can simply go to our website if they like what they see, what we're doing. We use all kinds of social media and other venues to get the word out about us. So if they look at the things that we do and they like what we do, just hit that contact and we'll help them get set up. I believe it was many years ago you did that, Greg, and here we are today, still going strong and still pushing out your awesome products.
Yeah, it was many years ago, and one of the things, there's many sites that do this. Yours is particularly good at it. We noticed right away that it caused traffic to our website, and we were very happy with that. What do you think it is what's the main platform? Is it emails? Is it Google Ads? What is it that helps Buy Direct USA drive traffic to your clients' websites?
It's a variety of things, but social media has really catapulted us to get more people seeing us. We've been on CNN and Fox News and all those other places, but you're there for 5 seconds and then people forget about you. Social media, you can continue to live on and reach people. So I think that's been one of the biggest drivers. But we also use emails and we use other means to get the word out as well. But I think go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think people see that we have a passion for what we do. We're authentic about what we do, and that's how we've been able to persevere and to keep going and keep growing.
So, what types of products can we expect to find when we go to the site? It's pretty broad, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a variety of things. I mean, anything from bed and bath, furniture, home decor, home improvement products, outdoor garden, pet products, cooking and kitchen, of course, even some business to business stuff. It is diverse. We want to help any American who wants to find products. Now, that being said, we don't have a gigantic list. What we have is some of the best that we think. That fit in well with what the quality and whatnot that we want to present consumers and customers who would want to buy those things. So,
well, yeah, and I will give a personal recommendation on joining the team. Please contact Jim. There are different levels, I believe, of sponsorship. It's not that expensive to be on there. We do a lot of advertising and promotion through special offers that you might have, and we've always found those to have a good return on investment.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We've seen a lot of positive reviews about your product specifically. I use them specifically. I actually ordered them myself. You guys did give me freebies, and that's fine. It's still, it's wonderful to use them. Wonderful to see that when I pick up a spoon that's made by Liberty, and I put it into a frozen tub of ice cream, and that thing does not bend. I used 2 of your forks one time to pick up a 20-pound turkey out of the roasting pan. So these things are tough. They're durable. I wish I could have gotten a video, but it's kind of hard to do that. I don't have 3 hands. But that's the quality I like when it comes to American-made products.
I'm going to have to incorporate that into some of our marketing, because usually it's the ice cream test. It's the ice. It's the teaspoon. Does that bend? If you're trying to scoop out the ice cream. I've never heard of the turkey test, but maybe Thanksgiving time, I'll give you credit for coming up with that idea.
Okay. We'll make sure that folks visit buydirectusa.com.
And this is all part of what's Jim's passion and my passion, which is finding and buying American-made products. So I would encourage everybody out there that's manufacturing to visit Buy Direct. Talk to Jim and his folks over there at Buy Direct USA and see if you can't get another avenue to get the word out on the product that you're making. We'll be back shortly with our second guest, Brad Winnings from MadeInUSA.com, and talk about their approach to finding Made in America products. Welcome back, everybody, to the third hour of Home Talk USA. I'm Greg Owens, and this is the Made in America Hour. We just heard from Jim Palmer from Buy Direct USA on how they can help those interested in selling or finding products that are made in the USA, get the word out, and get it done. And now I have Brad Winnings from MadeInUSA.com here with me to talk a little bit about how his organization skins the cat from a different angle. Brad is one of the people who really worked hard on the nuts and bolts of getting MadeInUSA.com up and running. He's also, I know, an avid fisherman, I think mainly bass fishing, Brad?
That is correct.
And an all-around good guy. Brad and I have known each other for quite a few years. And Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role in MadeInUSA.com and how you got involved in it, and sort of what you've been doing behind the scenes to make it all work.
Well, Greg, again, thank you for having me on your show. It's an honor. Always have a chance to talk to you, and your friendship is very valued, so we like that a lot. And let me help you out why you probably hesitated, because as we've known each other for a long time, I'm the co-founder and the CTO, COO of MadeInAmerica.com, which was our trade show event that we had back in 2019, and also started a nonprofit at MadeInAmerica.org to help, get the consumer part of this out, the word about the importance of buying American-made products on a nonprofit side. And then we launched our madeinusa.com, which we're talking about today. So probably what was going through your mind when you hesitated to introduce me was, is it Made in America, madeinusa.com? So those things. So I wear several different hats, to be honest with you. And listen, when I first got into this, Greg, a little bit about myself, I'm an Air Force veteran. I served 4 years in the Air Force. My son's currently in the Air Force right now. I was with a company prior to coming along with Don Buckner and the founder of Made in USA and Made in America. That was a conservative alternative to AARP. Kind of grew that membership level to over 1 million members. It's just kind of crazy that time period we were there. Was also building their national call centers here in Leesburg, Florida. I met Don Buckner, and he had this vision of saying, "Hey, we need to make people aware of, buying American-made products and jobs and a lot of other things." He started talking about his vision, and it kind of shook me in a way. It's like, hey, I can do something more than just this conservative movement towards people in buying Medicare supplements. I can make a real change, and so decided to come on board with Made in America and madeinusa.com right now. And that's our primary goal, is that Made in USA product line. And that's where it kind of all started at that particular time. So it's just a little bit about me and my history. And you are right. I love the bass fish. So anytime you want to come down, I'll put you on the boat and we'll go.
One of these days, I'm going to take you up on that, because I like fishing as well. But, you mentioned Made in USA as a conservative passion, and it certainly is. But it also is something that crosses party lines, isn't it? I mean, you've had a lot of conversations with people on the blue side of the aisle that are just absolutely passionate about it for many of the same reasons that you just mentioned. Ex-military, just patriotic folks. Maybe they had a family member, or maybe they themselves lost a job to some of this tragic things that have happened in the textile industry and others. So it is really something that I view as a broad-based movement that we can all be proud of being part of. And one of these things that, in light of what happened last Saturday, certainly can bring us together to rally around a common cause.
And you're right. Listen, I was in the conservative space. I was in DC. We were at the time that we were putting, several thousand members on at one time. But myself, I grew up in West Virginia as a coal miner's son. I actually was going to be a coal mining engineer at one point, And one thing that I found out during that period of time, that not having a job or being laid off and being on food stamps and all that whole life event, and that's what I'm going to call it, because that's what it is. When you don't have a job, it's a life event, because your whole life changes, right? That's where my passion is. My passion is about jobs. And the way that I can affect the most amount of jobs and create the most jobs is with madeinusa.com, right? Because it's not a left or right thing. It's not a red or a blue. It's not a black or a white. It's an American thing, right? So at the end of the day, when you start talking to a lot of conservatives and you start talking to a lot of Democrats and Republicans, to be honest with you, a lot of their views are really, really close, right? But sometimes people think they're so far away. But one thing that we can agree on is the importance about, buying American-made products. The problem is not being able to find them, right? Or not being able to get them or buy them because of various reasons, which I'm sure we'll go into a little bit later on in this programming. But that's kind of like the most important things to me is it's about the jobs. It's not about the money. You take care of people, you do the jobs, and money take care of itself. It's not a money thing. And I don't have a lot of money, so it's not about that. It's about understanding that if somebody has a job, then they don't have that pressure at home. They don't have pressure that's going to affect them maybe to, do something, to drink more or, be depressed, cause turmoil in their families. Having a job solves all those problems because it brings that revenue in. It brings them light. It gives them hope. It gives them inspiration to do things. And that's what Americans want to do. They want to work. They want to make money.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point, having a job, but also having a job that pays a living wage. And one of the tragedies that happened in our community here in Sherrill, New York, was that when these factory jobs and the engineering jobs and the supervisory jobs went away, those people, in a lot of cases, were not able to replicate the income that they had before. Welcome to McDonald's or welcome to Walmart. Have a nice day. Here's your shopping cart. Doesn't get it done to put food on the table for a family, where back then, a $15, $20 manufacturing job with full benefits and vacations and all the things that went along with that certainly was a career that
Right.
you could follow. And we've lost that in this myth that somehow these jobs could be replaced by the service economy turned out to be a tragedy.
Yeah. But when you look at that, if you go back and look at manufacturing jobs, I think there's several reports out there, and I probably cite different ones, but let's just take an average. For every manufacturing job, we'll say an average of 4 jobs are created within the community, right? So that's why manufacturing jobs is so important to me. Not do I get a chance to be able to create one job, I get a chance to create at least 4 more. John Rich and I had an interesting conversation when he was attending one of our events, and he was telling me about his whiskey, and it's made in America, and he's like, the glass is here and the cork is here. And I'm like, John, that's amazing. And I said, but look at how many jobs you created. His marketing guy was there. Their printing company was there, right? His glass guy was there. And every one of those people had a group of people that worked with him to help support that mission that he was on. So that's why it's so important that we buy American-made products. Not that it's a good thing that we feel good about. It's actually really creating more jobs than you can ever imagine. So at the end of the day, I'd love to get that message out and talk about how manufacturing does create jobs. It's an amazing thing if you look at it.
Well, we have to take a break here and go pay some bills. But when we come back, we will be talking a little bit about the incredible challenge that you and Don faced in creating madeinusa.com. I got it right this time.
Yeah, you did.
And,
great job.
Yeah, I did. And, how many lines of code and finding vendors and trying to fill up this site. And then by the end of the program, I'd like to do a call to action, both for consumers to visit the site, to figure out if there's something on there that they can buy. And I know you've got some thoughts on there. And then vendors, people who are making things in the United States, to join your organization and start selling their products to people who are actively going on a site that is aimed right at the core of their customer profile. So thank you very much for being with us on the first segment. We'll be right back in a minute with Brad Winnings from madeinusa.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the third hour of Home Talk USA. I'm Greg Owens, and this is the Made in America Hour. I'm here with Brad Winnings to continue our conversation on madeinusa.com and how to buy American. Brad, welcome back.
Thank you, Greg.
Challenges. You started out with a blank sheet of paper, right? How are we going to build a website that's going to be what I know Don describes as the Amazon.com of Made in America? So where do you even go from there?
That is a great question. And, probably if we had 2 more segments, we could go into it. So we won't try to get into everything, but I can let you know one of the biggest challenges that we looked at is, do we go with something that's already created, or do we create it, manage it, and own it ourselves? And then when we asked us those questions, it came down to this. If we own it and we manage it and we maintain it ourselves, nobody else can affect whatever our outcome is going to be on this site. So that's why we didn't choose a Shopify or WooCommerce or something like that. So that opened up a whole number of issues, I guess you would say, at this particular time, is trying to figure out how do you build this massive product that looks like Amazon, that is only truly focused on made in USA products. So you have to build the product, right? And then you have to say, okay, it's not like a typical website, because with a typical website with apparel or something like your website at Liberty Tabletop is that, you have certain categories and you have certain, attributes that go to each one of those. With this particular site, it's like building a site for over 400 different type of vendors. So you have everything from clothing to tires, and each one of those has a different category. Each of those have a different attribute. They may have different sizes, colors, styles. And doing that, I think, was the most complicated piece that a lot of people don't understand, is that taking a website that you build that's able to be able to put all of these different manufacturers all in one place and then make it searchable. If you'd asked me what my biggest problem was the search engine, right? We actually even went back and looked at a lot of different platforms and decided that we would use one that's very robust that other software companies have used. We actually are using that now. We're using that company along with AI. So now when you type in purses, then all purses show up on our site, and it's learning every day. Before we had that search, when you typed in purses, it didn't know because it was looking for a category of purses, right? But they were under handbags. So handbags and purses didn't look alike. So it was the craziest thing you ever saw. So I think that, building it for those three to 400 manufacturers and creating that search engine was probably the most difficult part of the whole task.
Well, one of the things that you did that I know my son Will, who uploaded our stuff onto the website, appreciated was making it very easy to draw in content from your own website and link it in. So instead of having to deal with a whole bunch of spreadsheets and filling out information and hours, it was just basically hit a button, click, and then do a little bit of editing, right?
Yeah, ease of use was my second biggest topic that we talked about when we were building this, is that, how does the user as a vendor have an experience that they don't have to go with using those spreadsheets and being able to communicate with them, getting images, sizes, descriptions. So we built two wizards for Shopify and WooCommerce, and also CSV entry. It's point and click basically, and it'll bring all your product images in very quickly.
And it was amazing how seamlessly that worked. So all of you vendors out there who are listening to this, and potential vendors that might be interested in getting involved and listing your products on madeinusa.com, it's that easy, right, Brad?
Yeah, it is. Greg, this was what really sets us apart. And I think I can't stress this enough. On our site, you'll notice that we have 3 flags, right? It's made in USA, all or virtually all. It's made with domestic and global parts, or it's assembled in the USA. We're the only company that's really out there, e-commerce company, that's identifying those things, right? Most of those companies are giving you this facade that they are an American company and they're selling American products. It's true, some of them may be, but it only may be an American company and they're still importing the product. Ours, you can easily identify what the country of origin label is on each one of those products. In addition to that, we feel that it's important to notify everybody whatever that business classification is for that business owner. So if that business owner is a women-owned business, a minority-owned business, a veteran-owned business, a small business owner, or even a GSA contract holder, you can easily identify that on our site also. And that's what really sets us apart. We want people to understand that they are truly buying, and they can truly trust that the product they're buying from our site is made here in the USA under the correct FTC guidelines.
What type of products can people, you mentioned tires, you mentioned apparel. There are just products that people buy every day for their home or their office on there. And talk a bit about that as we close it down here. Invite the listeners to go there and actually do some shopping.
Right. Well, that's the biggest way you can help us, Greg, is I think every time you and I talk, I ask you, have you bought something from madeinusa.com today? Right. So that's part of my, I guess, my pitch to everybody we talk to. But yeah, that's really the most important thing is supporting us. And by even the smallest thing really helps us. And speaking of that, you can buy anything from furniture to pallets of paper to Clorox to Post-it notes on our site. We say it's from tires to peanuts. And I think that you fit in that category somewhere, Greg, with Liberty Tabletop. You guys do a great job. Your product shows really well on our site. But at the end of the day, that's what really makes a difference, right? We need to take the community that we have ourselves and support that community. And if you are 7 out of 10 Americans that want to buy American-made products, then you should be going to madeinusa.com and buying those products. If you're not really part of that number that is put out there, which is somewhat disappointing.
Right. So I not only try and do it, hopefully without your reminders on a semi-daily basis, but I've also encouraged our purchasing department here at our company to put the madeinusa.com icon on their computer screen. And when we need to buy that pallet of computer paper, or we need to buy cleaning products or anything like that, go on the site and you can buy it direct through your site. Doesn't usually cost any more money than doing it someplace else. And you're supporting a great cause at the same time.
Right. Well, Greg, a couple of things I want to go back. You talked about vendors want to get involved and how we want to compete against the bigger people. The biggest thing is that we're not charging any fees. You don't pay a monthly fee to be on our site, and we're not even charging you credit card processing fees. So that makes a huge difference. But back to going to madeinusa.com to buy something, the other thing we ask you to do is share. You can go to any one of our pages. You can go to any one of the products and click on the Facebook link, and it'll actually go ahead and share that process and that product for you right directly to your Facebook page. So we appreciate all your support that you're giving us.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad, for being with us. It's time to finish up the program here. I appreciate your being with us today, and we'll look forward to having you back on the program soon.
I look forward to it also.
Okay, everybody, that wraps it up for this edition of Home Talk USA, the Made in America Hour. We'll see you again next week with some more exciting information on how you can get it in the USA.
Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. Our best goes out to our inventor of Home Talk USA, Michael King. We know that he is under the weather, and we are hoping that he is back in swing with us next week. But in the meantime, we've got an hour of Made in the USA, where we actually talk about the process of manufacturing in the USA and feature then products that are made in the USA. And it's so important that we support then the people who keep their feet and their manufacturing on our soil. So Greg Owens, thank you so much for running this hour for us and featuring all of these wonderful manufacturers and inventors and product specialists that really look to keep everything here in the U.S.
Well, thank you, Rita. And it's a pleasure to be here during the Made in America segment. Today, we have two people coming back to finish up conversations and lead us into some new topics. The first up is Matt Roberts, my partner in crime here at Sherrill Manufacturing. Matt, welcome to the program.
Good to see you guys, or hear you guys again, I guess.
Well, I always, of course, listen in to your segment, Rita, and it's interesting. One of the things that you're talking about during the last hour was not asking your mother for her blessing on what you're doing, because she's always going to give you the thumbs up. It's all great. Go for it. Right. And
absolutely. And it's funny because my mother has worked the National Hardware Show and the ASD Market Week for the last 10 years. And she's in her 80s.
That reminds me of when we first started our website. Of course, we didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't follow what you were giving as advice. We didn't go to an expert, so we tried to do it ourselves. And I swear, for the first year, the only people that were going on our website were our mothers. That was my tag. Thankfully, a decade later, we've sort of sorted that one out. But anyway, Matt's here to talk about. We didn't obviously invent flatware. We're not that old. But we did have to sort of